Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of GGS. As you can see, we are talking to Detective Gregerson right now, and we were just talking about, I believe, Scotland Yard, and now we're talking about the incident, which is the second option. The incident occurred 2 days ago at around 5 in the evening, on that high visibility sidewalk over there. The victim was a young woman, and she was stabbed in the back with a knife. And that lady is still unconscious and recuperating in the hospital, right? Well, I never said she was a lady. Anyway, until she wakes up, we won't be able to confirm her identity. Does she not carry any identification on her? An ID? Were IDs a thing back then? I don't know. I guess that means I won't be able to hear the victim's statement. Here's a map of the area. You can have it if you want. You're giving it to me? We have to provide criminals' attorneys with at least a basic amount of information. That's our obligation as police. I haven't agreed to be Soseki-san's lawyer just yet, though. Well, since he's offering, let's accept it. Map of the crime scene. A map showing the area where the crime took place. The place where the victim collapsed is marked. Cool beans. Well, in any case. Apparently, when the crime happened, only the victim and that Japanese man were at the scene. Who could the attacker be? You don't even need to think about it. It's true. Soseki-san said he didn't see anyone else around. But just because Soseki-sama says he didn't see anyone, doesn't mean we can rule out the possibility the attacker was someone else. Unfortunately, we can't rule it out. Well, you see, this case has a decisive witness who saw the very moment of the crime. What? Actually, there's 2 of them. Thanks to London's famous fog, it seems that they didn't notice the Japanese man, though. Eyewitnesses, huh? Eyewitnesses. So then, just who are these eyewitnesses? Well, I suppose you could consider them the most reliable witnesses London has. You see, they were Scotland Yard beat officers. What? Beat officers? This certainly changes things a bit. So the officers, see these sorts of things sometimes? Crimes actually in progress? I don't see what's so hard to believe about that. That's the whole reason we have officers. If possible, may I hear the statement of the officers who witnessed the incident? Yeah, ask them anything you like. At tomorrow's trial. Thanks, eh? I'm sure those officers will be summoned as witnesses. I'm sure you can hold your excitement until then. Looks like he doesn't intend to let me meet with them. Officer eyewitnesses. As a legal aid, I say that sounds awfully condemning. Sounds pretty bad to me too, and I'm not even a legal aid. Come to think of it. What? The one who discovered and arrested the suspect. I heard it was Sherlock Holmes-san. Holmes, you say? What's this about? His expression went funny. Yeah, you alright, dude? Well, I think we're gonna get to that last. Yeah, that's about Holmes. We're gonna go talk about this one. Tomorrow's trial. That Japanese man's trial is tomorrow, huh? So you're gonna be defending him, are you? Well... Either way, this much I'm sure of. No defense attorney here in London worth the salt would take that bloke's case. Because the prosecutor is the Grim Reaper? Aye, the defender's beyond saving. There's no point trying to defend him. But there's something odd about all of this. Eh? That Grim Reaper hasn't stood in court these past few years. Really? On top of that, the types he takes on are only well-known villains and most heinous criminals. Villains? Most heinous criminals? Those who become his prey are the sort of evil scum that have the death penalty awaiting them. But it's not like that this time. Aye, that's just it. The one who was stabbed was a young woman, but she didn't end up losing her life. The thought of him getting involved in an insignificant case like this is unthinkable. There's nothing insignificant about the case, though. It could be there's some sort of special reason for it. What sort of reason? We mere humans cannot comprehend the way a Grim Reaper thinks. That's something you'll have to ask him yourself in court tomorrow. So then I have no choice but to face him again. About Holmes. Who told you that man's name? Soseki-san told me. He said Holmes burst into his room with the rest of them. I'm sure Holmes-sama's wonderful famous deductions got everyone all fired up. Don't be ridiculous! That bloody fake detective. He's got a lot of nerve coming prancing out like that every time. That bastard. Every time I hear about some crime that's happened and wonder if he's going to show up on the scene, there'll be wandering around and spewing some unintelligible nonsense. And then the next thing I know, they'll have the ruddy thing solved while the rest of us are still muddling through. That's, pretty remarkable. But he's reviving Scotland Yard with his assistants, isn't he? Well, that's a laugh. Maybe you're familiar with this. Well, yes I am. The Strand magazine. That's the magazine that the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes are published in. That worthless drivel portrays our Scotland Yard detectives as morons in comparison to the high and mighty famous detective. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Pah! More like the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Oh boy, there's a lot of salt here. Well, I suppose that's one way of looking at it. We put our hearts and souls into what we do, but thanks to that detective, the world mock us. That fellow is a danger to criminals and the Yard alike. I'm not sure what to think about you putting yourselves in the same category as criminals. Looks like there's a lot of baggage there between the famous detective and the police. Now then. I guess this is probably all the information we're gonna get from this detective. Naruhodo-sama, do you have a moment? What is it, Susato-san? You're being awfully formal all of a sudden. I've been thinking, at this point, shouldn't we hear what, that man has to say? By that man, do you mean Sherlock Holmes-san? Yes, that's certainly and exactly precisely what I meant. Susato-san's eyes, they're sparkling. I suppose Soseki-san mentioned him as well, didn't he? Yes, certainly, he certainly did. I believe you could say that he considered involved in this incident. This is just my own selfishness speaking. But without his address, there's nothing we can... It's Baker Street! How do you know that? Well, see, it's in this book. 221 B Baker Street, the most famous address in the world. I see. Shall we go have a look then? Now before Susato-san's fervor grows any more. In any case, let's hail a carriage and be off. I didn't expect to be meeting him again so soon. Sherlock Holmes-san, huh? Alright, I guess we're moving then. Oops, that's not move. This is move. The new location has been added. Okay, I'm gonna put the translation up. And I think a cutscene's coming up too, so.
ありがとうございました。そこの2階でございます。それでは。どうも。ここがホームズさんの事務所なのですね。
Susato is so excited. Oh, look how cozy this room is. It is the same day, 12:53 p.m. in Holmes' flat. This is Holmes-san's office. It has a kind of an unusual air about it. Wow, what a mess. What do you think? Is it just as it was described in the novels? Susato-san? This is where so many baffling cases have been solved. Yes, I'm sure it is. Never read the novels, so I can't really be sure though. Me too, Naruhodo! I'm still working on it. At least at the time of this recording. The detectives races down the fog-choked streets after villains who shroud themselves in the city darkness. Oh, how wonderful! How romantic! It sets my blood a-boil, my heart singing. Don't you agree, Naruhodo-sama? Yes, I'm sure. And with that, I will set those feelings aside for the time being. Don't mind me. What a fangirl! Right. Oh boy. It seems that our famous detective is out at the moment. Excuse me, is anyone here? Oh, a guest! Good afternoon! Are you in need of assistance? Hello? Huh? Might you be... Oh, one moment please. I'll go put on some tea. Wasn't that girl... Susato-san, did you see that girl just now? Isn't it wonderful? Even the King of Bohemia came to this room to request an investigation. I know this one, I read about this one. The King of Bohemia? Wilhelm Gottrich Sigismund von Orstein. Oh god, I remember reading that. I was like, how the heck do you pronounce that? Never heard of him. I will write down his name later on. Forget the adventures of Sherlock Holmes and have a look around. Here, I prepared some tea and help yourselves to these, fresh biscuits. We saw you. Looks like I was right. So this is where you've been. Honestly, you can't do that, stealing other people's belongings. I was looking forward to testing out that smoke launcher prototype myself. I'm actually the inventor of the smoke launcher. I think that was Naruhodo's dialogue there. But I wasn't given the right dialogue, so if I find it, I will put it in properly. She's the one who showed up in the lobby right after the trial. This is my first time ever seeing an Oriental attorney. You've just arrived in London and they've already put you to work half a day. You poor thing. Thanks.
This tea is my own special blend. Here, try some.
Alright, I'll take some. What unusual looking tea.
Oh my, what a mellow and sweet fragrance it has. Oh, good! I'm so glad it's a success. I was trying to come up with a blend that would reduce fatigue. Anyone would be tired after a long journey like the one you just made, and you've got such a difficult trial ahead of you tomorrow. Plus, the one you're defending is from Japan. You've got to do your best.
Did Home-sama tell you about us?
What? You two know Homesy?
Homesy? Actually, we were on the same ship to England with Home-sama.
Oh, really? I had no idea. Homesy just got back from overseas, but he's gone out again already.
Hold on just a minute. I know we saw this girl at the courthouse the other day. But how does she know so much about us? So then, is this more of that deduction stuff? I was going to start with the question of what this girl's doing at Home-sama's office.
Oh, now that you mention it, I haven't introduced myself, have I?
What a cute.
I'm Iris Watson. Pleased to make your acquaintance. I live here with Mr. Holmes.
Huh? So your name is Iris? That's a cute name. What is it, Susato-san?
Just one moment, please.
You're Watson-sama? What's this about? Why is Susato-san so flustered all of a sudden? Come on, Naruhodo! Your first trial involved Watson.
Yep, I sure am. And who might you be?
I'm Naruhodo Ryanosuke, a defense attorney.
Oh!
My name is Legal Aid Mikatomo Susato. I'm very pleased to make your acquaintance.
Susato-chan and Naruhodo-kun. Got it.
Susato-chan? Naruhodo-kun? Somehow, I feel like I have a bunch of questions I want to ask this girl.
So do I.
We won't do that yet. We're going to examine stuff first. One of the things I like most about Great Britain is the fireplaces. It's so relaxing to sit near a roaring fire and watch the flames dance.
More importantly, have a look at the mantelpiece above. Oh, this is exactly the way it was described in the novels.
Really?
Yes, for example, inside that Persian slipper. Oh, my chocolate candies. And that thing pinned up by the giant jackknife is my shopping list. The market changes daily, you see.
Iris is just breaking all of her hopes and dreams.
Perhaps it's slightly different from what I read in the novels after all.
Susato-san looks kind of disappointed. That big metal trunk is being used as a coffee table. The metal trunk is locked with a large, sturdy-looking lock.
You mustn't snoop inside. You mustn't. Snooping inside would be wrong.
You're so naughty sometimes, Naruhodo-sama. Where the heck did she get that impression?
In that box are my most treasured possessions.
She's smiling brightly, but it doesn't seem like she plans to tell us. This thing is telling me to examine— oh, there's a globe. I was like, what globe? Oh, this globe. There are a bunch of books, documents, and tools for conducting scientific experiments. And there are all these mysterious odds and ends. The shelf is so packed with stuff that it looks like it could fall over at any moment.
Homesy's a bit of a pack rat.
I see.
A while ago, I was looking through these materials with something specific, but everything was stuffed in there so tightly that I couldn't get anything out. I ended up giving up and just buying a new one.
A strange leather shoe, a strange gavel, a strange dancing doll, and a stone bust of Napoleon.
Oh, the shelf is full of such romance.
This is the first time I've ever seen a room decorated with a single letter shoe.
Oh, those are mementos of cases that Holmesy solved.
Oh, I see. Even this stone bust?
Yep. When he's in a good mood, he bangs it on the floor and smashes it into tiny pieces.
Holmes-san really does that to poor innocent Napoleon?
Yep. And when that happens, he goes and buys a new stone bust.
What a strange hobby. Sounds like something a famous ceramic artist would do.
Oh, how romantic.
Of course you would find that romantic. I wonder what this black, oppressive-looking chunk of metal is.
Oh, that's called a typewriter. It allows you to write even if you don't have a pen, and with amazing speed.
I'm no good at writing, so I probably never need something like that. This cute white shelf is full of cute little bottles.
Oh, I wouldn't touch those if I were you. They'll explode.
Explode? Perhaps it's some sort of chemical used for experiments.
Yep, that's right. It's like Holmesy's always saying. Science is all about the explosions.
Eh?
He must mean the way that a single discovery can bring explosive change to the whole world.
I get the feeling he means it in the most literal way possible. Either way, I'm staying far away from that stuff. Good plan! Good plan!
Oh, that's my idea board.
Oh, what do we have here? Black Peter? What's that?
Nonoholo-sama, don't you think we should hear what Iris-sama has to say?
I guess I can look around more later. Let's talk about Iris! I believe we met yesterday, at Old Bailey.
Yep. Thanks so much for everything you did for me.
Oh, no. We're the ones who should be thanking you. That's for sure. We were being held at gunpoint after all.
Like this?
Come to think of it, you marched off with Gina-sama in tow, didn't you? Gina-sama. Oh, that troublesome witness.
Ah, Jeannie. She's a pickpocket, you know?
Yes, that's what we heard.
That was so mean of her, stealing my prototype like that.
Your prototype? You mean that clunky toy?
Yep, that's why I chased after her to take it back. But if it was going to turn out like that, perhaps I should have used a smokescreen or something.
This girl says some scary things.
Anyway, after I escorted Jeannie to this room, I had to apologize to my engineer who helped me build this.
Your engineer?
Of course! That would be Holmesy.
You call him Holmesy?
Holmesy and I live together.
Huh. I never would have imagined that the famous detective would have a daughter like you.
Huh? Oh, no, I'm not his daughter.
Eh?
Even I wouldn't call Papa Holmesy.
So then, just who are you?
Huh. Well, think about it. Lodgings here in London are pretty expensive, right? But if you split the rent with a roommate, it's way cheaper.
Roommate? How old are you, Iris-sama?
I finally turned 10 this year.
So then, where are your mother and father?
Well, I haven't got any.
I see. I'm sure there must be a story here. Well, this one is about Watson. May I ask something?
Sure, go ahead. What is it, Susato-chan?
quite fond of them. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, I mean.
Oh, that's the Strand magazine.
I always read them back in Japan. I had all of them shipped to me.
Wow, so even people in the Orient read the stories I write.
The stories you write?
Holmesy always tells me all about the cases he solves. And they're always really interesting. So I figured anyone would want to hear about them. Don't you agree? Last night he told me all about the incident he solved on the foreign steamship. So, right now I'm in the middle of typing up the manuscript for next month's edition.
You're writing the manuscript.
Yep. Now, just between us for now, but I'm thinking of making the title The Speckled Band.
The Speckled Band? I feel like I've heard that before. Naruhodo, please.
I always change the events in the stories a little though, see? This time I thought really hard and decided to make a poisonous Indian snake the killer.
I feel like that was Holmes-san's very unique idea.
Oh, I'm aware, you know, that snakies can't do things like that. Oh, but come on, it's a story. Isn't it better that it's exciting?
So then, the stories about Holmes-san are published in this magazine.
I wrote every one of them with the help of my cutting-edge typewriter.
But these stories, weren't they meant to have been written by Dr. John H. Watson? Sato's voice is trembling with something that sounds an awful lot like despair.
Oh, actually, that's me. See, I'm Miss Watson.
Then what about the doctor part?
Ah, you see, I know I don't look it, but I am a doctor.
A 10-year-old that has a PhD as a doctor in the Victorian era. I'm sorry, this is quite a stretch even for Ace Attorney. Iris is like both a cute character but also a huge problem for me. I'll just talk about it later because but you're only 10.
Yep, I'm only 10.
Whoops.
I am a doctor.
But you're only 10, and then she's like,
Yep, I'm only 10.
oh, that's really something.
But Dr. Watson is a gentleman. Oh, see? Actually, that was one of the parts of reality that I tried changing. I mean, think about it. It seems a little strange, right? What sort of famous detective would bring a 10-year-old girl around with him?
Well, that's true, I suppose. Susato-san, she looked like she just had her wind taken out of her sails. This poor girl. Alright, we're gonna stop here for now and we're gonna continue on into the next video. Last question is actually about how did she deduce why Naruhodo is here and how he knew that he was gonna be defending the Japanese, Suseki-san. Because no one apparently told her, she just figured it out. So, we're gonna figure out how she did that in the next video. See you guys then! Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of GGS. As you can see, we are talking to Detective Gregerson right now, and we were just talking about, I believe, Scotland Yard, and now we're talking about the incident, which is the second option. The incident occurred 2 days ago at around 5 in the evening, on that high visibility sidewalk over there. The victim was a young woman. I haven't agreed to be Soseki-san's lawyer just yet, though.
Well, since he's offering, let's accept it.
Map of the crime scene. A map showing the area where the crime took place. The place where the victim collapsed is marked. Cool beans. Well, in any case. Apparently, when the crime happened, only the victim and that Japanese man were at the scene. Who could the attacker be? You don't even need to think about it. It's true. Soseki-san said he didn't see anyone else around.
But just because Soseki-sama says he didn't see anyone, doesn't mean we can rule out the possibility the attacker was someone else.
Unfortunately, we can't rule it out. Well, you see, this case has a decisive witness who saw the very moment of the crime.
What?
Actually, there's two of them. Thanks to London's famous fog, it seems that they didn't notice the Japanese man, though. Eyewitnesses, huh? Eyewitnesses. So then, just who are these eyewitnesses? Well, I suppose you could consider them the most reliable witnesses London has. You see, they were Scotland Yard beat officers.
What?
Beat officers? This certainly changes things a bit.
So the officers, see these sorts of things sometimes? Crimes actually in progress?
I don't see what's so hard to believe about that. That's the whole reason we have officers.
If possible, may I hear the statement of the officers who witnessed the incident?
Yeah, ask them anything you like. At tomorrow's trial. Thanks. Woman, and she was stabbed in the back with a knife.
And that lady is still unconscious and recuperating in the hospital, right?
Well, I never said she was a lady. Anyway, until she wakes up, we won't be able to confirm her identity. Does she not carry any identification on her? An ID? Were IDs a thing back then? I don't know.
I guess that means I won't be able to hear the victim's statement.
Here's a map of the area. You can have it if you want.
You're giving it to me?
We have to provide criminals' attorneys with at least a basic amount of information. That's our obligation as police.